What's up, y'all? It's TTC, aka the ThunderConductor, and we back for another YouTube video and Twitch stream. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow and ring the bell. We do this once a week on YouTube and every other week on Twitch. So I got a question for y'all. Now with the new ban list, what commander do y'all feel will be taking over the new cEDH meta? We're gonna have some people who's already been saying, come on, y'all, Urza's been slept on, mono blue baby. It's like all the artifacts that were hurting because of the dark side. Now you're gonna have folks coming in saying, nah, now we're gonna have all the stacks, we're gonna slow down the meta. Some people gonna say, come on, Kennen maybe. Like, all right, it hurts to lose J-Lo, it hurts to lose Mana Crypt, but Kennen really never needed any of those cards to be broken. So come on, like, it's Kennen. Now, there is a group of people that are saying, yo, Blue Farm, Rockside, they never lost a step. Okay, it hurts post-Adnons, no color filtering. It hurts no early Crom, but at the end of the day, the decks are still busted. And plus, when you kick out Nadu and the other top, and also the J-Lo for Tivit, come on, Blue Farm, Rockside, they run the show. But I want to talk about something different that not many people have touched on. They brought up Esper, but I ain't been hearing nobody talk about MARNEUS CALGAR. Come on now. Y'all don't know about my little stint back in January, taking this to top 4, and it was a lot of fun. But I really think that and really believe that MARNEUS CALGAR in this new meta that we're possibly entering, keyword possibly, really has a place for it. Now, if you're not familiar with MARNEUS CALGAR is a legendary creature, a Astartes warrior, 2 colors and Esper to cast it, double strike, master tactician. Whenever one or more tokens you control enter, draw a card. And as chapter master, pay 6, create two 2/2 white Astartes warrior creature tokens with vigilance. And this guy is a 3/5. So it's a little chunky. And as you can see, with that mana value up there, then you're telling me, T, how the heck are we gonna cast this with like the whole J-Lo being out and Crypt being out? And I'm like, all I say to that is just stay tuned. Before I get into why I think MARNEUS CALGAR is about to take over the meta, I want to address the elephant in the room. Like, check this out. But if you say, hey, T, I don't want the proxies, the merch, or the Patreon, I just want to say one time for the fun time, I love what you do and I support you. Don't worry. Check the link out the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, let's get straight into this MARNEUS deck tech. This, I truly do. I know, like, y'all be thinking I'd be like joking around, be like, oh yeah, this is going to break the meta. I actually think this is something that really can like take the meta for like a real shift. My biggest reasoning why I think that MARNEUS is something that's going to take the meta for a shift is my personal MARNEUS brew. My personal one. It's in the sideboard because I still been I really took a long time to play test without it, but I was already off of J-Lo. I was already off of Fierce Guardianship. There was a lot of cards that I was not using because how I build my decks personally is I don't lean on the commanders too heavy. I love them as an outlet. I love them as a combo line enabler, but when it comes to like the actual, like, can the deck work with the commander, I like to make sure that my 99s can be supported properly. And that's what caused me to fall in love with Jeskai and with Esper. And since Jeskai recently saw the down spin because of the loss of Dockside primarily, we lost a lot of Dockside loops. Granted, we still got Breach, and that's great. But now that they lose Dockside, one thing I believe that we'll notice is that the meta is going to backlash, where it's like, now that we don't have to tech against Dockside, it's easy to see a Jeskai deck and say, I know they're going to be on Breach lines. Let me just add in more Breach hate, whether it's a Drannith Magistrate, a Gravedigger's Cage, and that's all you have to worry about from the Jeskai list. Now, granted, there's other Jeskai combos. Shout out to, what's that Jeskai commander? Elsha the Infinite, for example, is one like where it doesn't particularly need like Dockside to win. You know what I'm saying? It's great to have Crypt, is great to have J-Lo, but like Elsha has the Sensei Divining Top, Mana Producer, and then you can just combo off with Elsha. You know what I'm saying? But outside of those commanders who already have the combo in the command zone, I do believe Esper is going to have a really great place, because my reasoning for, like, the reason y'all haven't really seen me play MARNEUS is because it was just too slow. Like, purely comparatively, it wasn't that the deck list wasn't performing. It's just like, I was playing against, shout out to B-Rat, I was playing against Tali, and I'm like, bro, I was playing against Mardu decks, I was playing against Rakdos decks, and I just need to get to turn 3 to establish my legs. And I'm like, the deck can get there, but I had to be so lucky with my draws that it was so hard for me to tap out turn 2. So turn order had a huge thing. It was all these different things. So it felt really slow. And so I made my shift from Esper to Jeskai because I love my red roots. But now, like I said, with these bans, I do believe that Marneus Calgar's ability to be an infinite mana outlet, and I don't know if y'all have ever played with Marneus Calgar and the notable card, the main card of this list, Smothering Tithe. This is one of those cards where if you can drop a turn 1 to turn 2 Smothering Tithe, which may be harder to do now, I don't need JLo because the Smothering Tithe is going to give me the mana to both cast Marneus and then draw a shit ton of cards. And then if you draw and cast a wheel on top of that, for example, in our colors, it can be a Timetwister or Windfall. At that point, you're drawing 21 cards, you're making 21 treasures. And if you can't win with 21 treasures, I don't know what your deck is doing, but these are all the reasons that I do what I do, and we're gonna go through the list. I mainly want to start off by just you all know that I did my thing with the recent, like, not that's past, it's kind of past now, but back in Mox Masters I had like a lot of fun with Marneus. I played it for 17 days. I'm saying, yo, this commander's broken, and I took it to Mox Masters in January. So if you go to EDH Top 16, just click on Marneus Calgar and click on this first list right here. You're gonna boop. Right there, you'll find my old list, and you'll see all the old versions. But as you can see, this new list, you can already kind of just peek over it. There's a lot of differences, so I want to take a sec and talk about all the differences that we're going to be seeing, that we are going to be seeing and have seen, and really take a time to. I want to talk through the reasons for the change, and keep these in mind. I want to just give these also follow-ups. Keep in mind that the deck archetype is changing with this shift in meta. I know everyone's saying it's going to be a control stacks meta. I'm actually shifting my deck from control stacks to more mid-range. That means I'm looking to win from turn 4 to turn 6 to turn 3 to turn 5. I want to be able to have the option to win early that's outside of just having a Smothering Tithe on turn 2. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to go like we'll get to the updates, but just know that I'm trying to speed the deck up a slight bit while still having a lot of interaction to stop any lingering turbo decks in the meta. The strategy for this deck, also notably, is we want to get down a turn 1 to 2 draw engine. So this means like a Ristic Study turn 1, turn 2, Italian turn 1, turn 2, something along that line. Or for the few token generators, we're doing either a turn 1 Lotho with a turn 2 Marneus, which is really easy, or a turn 1 to turn through Smothering Tithe into a turn 2 to 3 Marneus. You know what I'm saying? So these are the strategies we're looking for. All right, I've already talked about the deck weaknesses and strengths, but we're gonna get straight into the switch outs. When it comes to these, I've compared my new version Esper Farm with the old version IIT. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. It's in the tokens. I remember what I was thinking. I was like, when I brewed this list, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna make it a tokens list. Slowly but very quickly, I'm realizing no. No, like, I believe that Marneus is a great commander that has a supercharged mode when you have a great treasure token generator, but to lean on your commander when it doesn't have ward like Tivit and that it just costs 5 mana. If you build your deck around your commander, I think that's a weakness that I know that can just hurt when your opponents keep killing your commander, because it turns from 5 to 7 to 9 mana really, really quick. So starting off with updates, I'm going to start off with my updates. The only card I lost from this list was Mana Crypt, and I ended up taking out Mana Crypt for Lion's Eye Diamond. TTC, what are you thinking? You're not on Breach. Stick with me. The other card that we took out, and I'm just play testing this, is I took Drannith Magistrate out for Auriok Salvagers. Now, my thought process within this is not that I think Drannith Magistrate is a weak card, but it is a flex slot that I know that it's eventually going to come back in, because Breach is going to become more important with the loss of Dockside. But I want to see, without the stacks pieces, we're still on Gravdigger's Cage and all that other stuff because it doesn't affect us. But let's try to just back off the stacks just a little bit for a second. Let's see how this new meta settles. Like, how much of a stacks deck do I need to be? Because I also know that one of the weaknesses to this deck is that you can draw 10 cards and have one piece of multiple combos. So what my thought process is, with we'll talk about it, but the inclusion of Urza Saga and all these other things to consistently get LED, let's add in Auriok Salvagers. And even though we lose our hand per se, it's similar where like on Thassus, you can lose your library. If with the silence effect, we can do a protected, or we can jam this as early as turn 2, depending on what our opening hand is. Let's just see what it's like to play this combo. And it's the Bomberman combo. It's an OG combo. So something I'm really interested in, and I feel good about it. Now, granted, if you don't want to switch out Drannith Magistrate, there's other cards that if you don't think that's the best for you, this is the card for me where I'm like, hey, I'm going to add it back in later. But for now, let's get rid of the stacks piece. Doesn't get me close to winning. Let's play to win, and then we'll adapt once we see how the meta is needed. You know what I'm saying? So that's my first thoughts. We also have next switch out. So Fierce Guardianship. I took this card out of my library. What was it? I took this card out of my library maybe 6 months ago. I remember playing Marneus for like 3 months, and just there were so many times where I would establish a Heuristic Study or a Fish and really just be paying for it, and I would never cast Marneus, and then I had to choose between casting this 3-mana Fierce Guardianship or maybe or like I have like a 2-mana piece interaction, a 1-mana piece of interaction. And so what basically ended up happening was I went on this whole journey of like, what do I want to change Fierce Guardianship? So how it started off was I took Fierce Guardianship out for Misdirection, all right? Because I'm like, okay, this free interaction. Misdirection was cool, but I found it was better at protecting a win con than stopping people. And originally this was a stacks list and a control list, so I was looking to slow people down. So then I took Misdirection out for Subtlety, because I was like, all right, I feel like this can hit creatures more. And it was cool, once again, but it was like, Subtlety, it didn't really feel right. And after talking to a lot of other great brewers, it wasn't worth the slot. And I was like, okay, it's okay. Like, I'm not tripping about it. I did like Subtlety, and it may come back, but as of right now, I said, let it go. I then switched it in because originally I was only running one clone. But when I eventually ended up switching that out for it was Mockingbird. Now, you say, without Dockside, why are you still running Mockingbird then? My thought is a second tutor target for Ranger Captain of Eos. This also can still copy Mana Dorks for 1 blue. This can copy an Esper Sentinel. This can copy an Orcish Bowmasters. There's still great clone targets, and so I don't think the meta is going to need you to run maybe 3-4 clones, but running 2 clones that can be anything you want, and also one that can be tutored off Ranger Captain of Eos is super powerful, especially when we run with the mindset of I'm trying to push myself closer to the win before I try to stop my opponents. You know what I'm saying? And then over time, as I learn the weaknesses of my list, I can add in the stacks pieces that my deck naturally needs to stop my opponents. So that's where my mindset was at. The next switch out we had is this. I actually recently took out Dauntless the Dismantler before the announcement, but this is just not coming back in the list. I put in Polywog Prodigy because I was trying it out. I do run a good sum of creatures in this list. Like, as you can see, like I'm on 16 creatures, which is a little bit more than your traditional Esper list, but I'm running 16 creatures right now. So then my thought process was like, all right, for sure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Dauntless Dismantler out and add Polywog Prodigy in, because I want more draw engines that can be dropped on turn 1 to turn 2. And that was my full mindset with that. Super simple, super clean. I was gonna put Dauntless Dismantler back in if I saw it was a problem, but now, fuck no, I'm not putting that shit back in. As we keep going, let's see. We did also, this is where we get into our token generators. All right, so you'll see a lot of Marneus pilots on Faerie Artisans. If you're not familiar with this card, this is 3 in the blue. It's actually a really cool card. It's a Faerie Artificer. It's a 2/2 flying. When another non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, create a token that's a copy of that. Creatures accept it is an artifact in addition to other types, then exile all other tokens created by Faerie Artisans. So I'm gonna break down why I don't make Marneus a tokens deck, and here is the beginning why. What you're telling me is this is a solid card. It's basically another clone effect, and it changes every time another non-token creature comes in. But you're saying in order for me to draw 1 card every time an opponent plays a creature, what you're telling me that I have to do is you're telling me that I have to pay 4 mana for Faerie Artisan. Okay, that's fine. And then you want me to pay another 5 mana on top of that, and then hope that one of the pieces don't get removed? So you will pay 9 mana to draw cards when I can just run Italian, a Polywog Prodigy, an Esper Sentinel, a Faerie Mastermind, which that kind of gets into what I switched it out for. I actually let Faerie Artisans go for Faerie Mastermind because I was like, yo, this is a better switch out in my opinion, because it's a 2 mana flash speed. I don't have to commit mana down during my turn. As a control list, let me just flash in this Faerie when I want a second card draw, but at the same time I can still hold up one of my 2 pieces mana or interaction, or a tutor, 2 mana tutor, or whatever I want to do. Where Faerie Artisans, I get it. It seems cool. It's synergistic. For TTC, I don't want to pay 9 mana and then completely lose my draw engine. So that's where my mind's at with that, if you want to understand. As we move forward, though, big card that I actually really do think is powerful but wasn't best for my play style, and I learned that it wasn't the best for this Marneus list in specific, is we took out Mnemonic Betrayal for Windfall. Okay, well, actually at first it was actually Timetwister. We took Mnemonic Betrayal off for Timetwister. The reasoning for that switch was, I actually, if you check the clips on my YouTube channel, my first win with this deck on YouTube was I had a Smothering Tithe out, I had a Marneus out, and then a TNK deck got blown out because I Odawara'd their Grand Abolisher, and they only had like 3-4 mana left off the dock side. It's like, I'm gonna try to cast his will and then try to go for it. Little did he know, when everyone drew those cards, same situation. Draw 21 cards, make 21 treasures. And then I was able, even though I was player 2, he was player 3, so I had to still make it all the way around in my turn rotation without losing all my treasures. With all those cards, I was able to counter every type of way, especially with Trick Bind and all these other things that stopped them from interacting with me. So after playing for a while, I realized that it's this Esper has an Adnaz without playing Adnaz with Marneus. So we're able to go Marneus plus Smothering Tithe plus a wheel. It may not be Adnaz, but it's Smother Naz. You know what I'm saying? Patent pending. But what that Smother Naz allows us to do is that by playing this Timetwister, not only is it graveyard hate on our opponents, it is graveyard recursion for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? If we put something in our graveyard, we're not running Sylvain's Reclamation. So I'm like, let me go ahead and take this out of my graveyard, loop it back in, and then follow that up by going, all right, now I'm going to follow that up by drawing my library, and again, however it's want to do. It also allows us to combo off. So Timetwister is just really like a malleable card that I found that was really powerful and really great for the list. So that was a great inclusion. I loved it. It was really cool. And immediately it really opened up the deck. Granted, this was with Mana Crypt and J-Lo at the time. Well, no, J-Lo was already out, but this was with what I had Mana Crypt. So turn 1 Smothering Tithe was more realistic, but the list started to win on turn 3, which was super powerful for a slow Esper list. I was like, yo, if I got a turn 1 Smothering Tithe, turn 2 Marneus, and all I got to do is just draw one of my wheels, I win the game, basically. And it was something where I would win through Ristic Studies and through Fishes, because every time they draw a card looking for a card to stop me, they would trigger the Smothering Tithe I kept drawing. So the next switch out that I actually did was I took Hireling out the list. Another token generator, the same thing. This combos off with the Najila list, is all cool, but same thing. I'm not paying 9 mana to draw, what is it? You create 2 treasure tokens, so it's 1 instance. Oh, one thing that if y'all are not familiar with Marneus, how the wording works is whenever 1 or more tokens you control enter, draw a card. So cards like Grim Hireling only allow you to make 2 treasures and draw 1 card. And the upside of the card is you make 6 treasures and draw 3 cards. It's a lot of, he's making all these resources for not a lot of cards. So what I ended up doing, I took Grim Hireling out. At first, I was actually running, and y'all probably, if you've been with the list for a while, I was running Mangara the Diplomat for a very long time, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Mangara the Diplomat was my shit. I kid you not, I was like, yo, y'all need to check out the list. This card is crazy, and that was actually the Esper farm. That's where I got the card inspiration from. But as I kept playing the list, I wanted to be more proactive and get towards my wins better. So what we ended up doing, we took out Mangara the Diplomat over Grim Hireling, and we ended up adding in Windfall as another wheel effect, just another effect to say, I want to draw a shit ton of cards with my Smothering Tithe, with my Marneus out, and I just want to win the game. So this was the inception of my mindset of, what do I have to do to win the game over trying to stop my opponents from stopping me, or stop my opponents from playing the game? I know it's a control stacks list, but that mindset shift was a really big level up moment for me, okay? As we continue to go though, another big change was because we run so many creatures in the list and a lot of our creatures are draw engines, I never felt great about Toxic Deluge. So what we did was we took Toxic Deluge, tried out a lot of brewers. We took out a lot of, tried out a lot of different brews, tried out a lot of different board wipes, but we ended up adding in Mist of Lorien. Now, the cool thing about this deck is, like, if you're not familiar with this one, this is honestly like one of the coolest board wipes ever. I think Comedian ran it in its cEDH Crom list, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. I never saw it, and someone recommended it to me. Like, I heard it from a person. But it costs 2 colorless of blue. It's a sorcery. It has replicate blue, and when you cast a spell, copy it for each time you paid it, the replicate cost. You may choose new targets for the copies, okay? You're gonna return target non-land permanent and each other non-land permanent with the same mana value as that permanent to the owner's hand. So what you do is, and the cool thing about this is, like, oh my gosh, all right. Granted, Tivert may not be a thing anymore, but the cool thing is this gets around Ward, this gets around Shroud, this gets around Hexproof, and what you can do is you can target your own thing, bounce all of the things of that same mana value, and you can pay a blue to either double down on the number that you want to bounce or to hit multiple CMCs. So say if you have Smothering Tithe and Marnie's out, but there's a Drannith, or like there's something out that's problematic or whatever stacks piece. Say, all right, I want to get rid of all 2s and 3s. So I'm going to pay 4 mana, bounce all the 2s and 3s, and then push off whatever combo I want, or maybe it's 1 and 3s. There's some stacks piece that's stopping you, and you can bounce everything. Now, granted, it is sorcery speed, not our favorite thing, but I do believe we are running Cyclonic Rift still, of course, but I do believe this is a great alternate way to maybe still combat this stacks meta we're seeing. And the biggest thing, it hits all non-land permanents of that CMC. So we got some questions from, okay, 100%. Thank you, guy. We have, the music just a little bit loud. Music a little bit too loud. I appreciate it. Thank you, guy. Thank you so much for letting me know that. We have Jim Fusion saying, thought about Mirror Room, act as a clone tool and a trigger doubler. I'll say this. When it comes to how about this? I'll let you know that in 1 second. I'll get to that in 1 second. Okay. But very quickly, we'll finish out the exclusion real quick. After that, we already took J-Lo out the list. Originally, we were playing around with Cabal Ritual, taking J-Lo out for Cabal Ritual and all these other things. We're trying all these things, but the main thing is, originally I was trying to play Gravedigger's Cage in the list because it's asymmetric, it's not hurting us. So what eventually, after playtesting a lot of things, I eventually took out J-Lo for Gravedigger's Cage. It was like, it's such a one-man, easy, like turn 1 play into a turn 2 draw engine. And it's really powerful because it does not affect us right now. We're not on Breach or Celine's Record. Like I brought up, it's really cool. And notably, because even with our Auriok Salvagers, we are bringing back an artifact. This says creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards and libraries. And notably, that does not affect us at all. Now, granted, when we discard our hand, it's going to be some type of way. So we have to usually do this protected or early enough when people are tapped out. But it's just a really cool combo. I love it. Yeah, but J-Lo out for Gravedigger's Cage. Absolutely love this. Next, when it comes to our next switch out, this is actually something I'm still thinking about. I still see a lot of Marnie's pilots on this. This is Copy Artifact. Very, very good. Very, very powerful. But when I was leaning more on the control side of the list, what I found is I absolutely loved the Muddle of the Mixture. This was like the first list I was like, I'm going to give this a go. And what I really love about it is there's so many powerful targets for Muddle of the Mixture. And so even though this can copy the One Ring and all these other powerful spells or rocks for our, this can copy rocks for our, the ISO Rev combo and all this other stuff, and it can ramp us. What I loved about Muddle of the Mixture is that it was never really particularly like a terrible, like, do nothing card. What this allowed us to do is it allowed us to, notably, and I got to go through all these because I always got to remind people, like, this card is so fucking flexible. Let me see. Muddle the Mixture targets. Because I had to sit down on my list and just have a come to Jesus type moment. All right. So Muddle the Mixture can find Line Obedience, which is an infinite mana outlet. It can find, what's another one? Like, yeah, you can go tutor for a tutor like Demonic Tutor. You can find your Grand Abolisher if you're sitting on a bunch of mana. You can find a token generator with Lotho. Not really the best target that I usually go for. I do love that it can find Bowmasters. Big thing, it can find both your Tainted Pact and your Thassa's Oracle, which is big, great. That's exactly what we want it for. Also finds Witchclaw Talisman. We'll be talking about that, but we have a whole combo line that if you have a shit ton of mana plus Witchclaw Talisman, you basically can win the entire game. And notably, it also can get, I don't have it on here, but it can get, Dramatic Reversal and your Isochron Scepter. So there's multiple combos that the singular card can find, and it's also just a counter spell. So though I know it's not the most fun, do what you got to do. I was finding a need for more tutors. If you don't like it, try something else. When it comes to the next switch out, we had Dauthi Voidwalker was for me like a card that, like, I know everybody loved it. It's really good, but I'm be honest, at the time it was really tough to cast. Those double black was just not what I was really looking for. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up switching out, Dauthi Voidwalker because it was like, oh, that's not the easiest to cast, but I also needed another tutor because I just wanted to increase the consistency of my list. And so we added in Lim-Dul's Vault, and it's really, really cool because it's like, even though this is an OG card, it was exactly what the list need, as well as we're trying to sharpen our sword over trying to bolster our shields. And I felt like I was only running Dauthi Voidwalker to stop people. I didn't need the cards that Dauthi Voidwalker offered me because I was already in such powerful colors. So it was an easy exclusion for me, but I do want to say notably, this may be a card that we may want to add back in the future as we see as this temporary new meta is forming. This may be something we want to put time and energy back into. Ooh, yeah, that's a good. We often have Brainwave say Steel Enchantment could be cool here too. Maybe Steel Enchantment may be something. That's a thought. If you all are, that's actually another switch out that I originally was trying over Copy Artifact. If you want to try Steel Enchantment out, that's another card that you may want to check out if you are not familiar. Steel Enchantment is 2 blue. 2 blue, enchantment aura, enchantment. You control enchanted enchantment. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. All right, next off we have our beautiful Manamo. Easy. All right, I'm gonna be honest. I know the one when he came out and we all like, yo, I gotta play Manamo. This is the best card. Untap your commander, untap the One Ring. I'm still on the One Ring, but I'm be honest, I let it go. When these MDFCs came out, I got all of them like white on rice. Yo, I love Stinking the Stupor because as a control list that's kind of moving towards mid-range, it is something that can pitch to both of my 4 spells. Not to mention, I can also just use it as its own removal spell. Because for me, once I establish that draw engine on turn 1 and turn 2, I'm just sitting up with my mana and I'm just looking for my window. So I'm looking to disrupt my opponents, and when I find my window, whether I want to do it at instant speed with Born Upon the Wind, or on the flip side, or during my turn, I just want to be able to disrupt my opponents. And so this was just the perfect include for the list. And it's been working really well, like on what I've seen thus far. Never really feels bad to have to just pay that 3 life for the backside of the card. It feels like nothing, if I can be fully transparent. As we close out, the next ones are really simple. I just added in both fetches, Arid Mesa and Bloodstained Mire, and I took out these new Kamigawa Neon Dynasty cards. I tried them out during the tournament because I just wanted to have some fun. But Takanuva and Naganja were early pullouts. The color fixing is really important, and these only tap with 1 color, and having a channel effect that really wasn't right for what the list was looking for. Easy switch outs, didn't really need much. Next big one is kind of big one actually. Underground River. To be honest, I just took it out for Tarnished Citadel. Colors are really huge for this list, and me being able to just tap it for a colorless mana when I need it, or tap it for 3 tap it for 1 colored mana of my choice and just take a 3 damage. I'm not on that, Nas. I'm not using my life total for this list. I don't care. Another thing is, in the very last switch out that we ended up doing, which this is my favorite card, but Lorien Revealed, if you're not familiar, this is such a cool card. 3 colors and 2 blue, draw 3 cards, island cycling for 1. So you can just pay 1, discard the card, and you go search your library for an island card. Notably, it says island card, so you can go get any of your islands. So this can get your UC, this can get your Tundra, we can get down there. This can get your Watery Grave, your UC, your Tundra, or any of your like typo cards. The thing I found about it is, as I was trying to make my Marneus list faster,
Even though I love this card so much, it's Pitchfork Force, Force Negation, all this other cool stuff, it was sometimes a little bit clunky. And it really wasn't progressing me towards trying to move towards being a faster list, especially when I was trying to make my Marnie's list faster while still being a control list, which was clashed against each other. So a switch I decided to make was actually Urza Saga. I love this land. This is one of my favorite lands, especially now that there's no dockside. I don't mind feeding that up. Not only does it make tokens by paying 2 and tapping it for both the second and while you're on the second and third chapter, but it also searches out your 0 drops and 1 drops to help you ramp. Plus, it can also find the new combo piece that we added in, which is Lion's Eye Diamond. But with that being said, those are the 16 switch outs we've made. Do you agree with them? Do you don't? Please let me know down below. When it comes to some other inclusions, though, I want to talk on with some of the chat drops and good ones. He says, let's see. We have Brina. Brainwaves bring up Brina. So, Brina is an interesting one. If you're not familiar with this, it's colorless, white and a black, legendary creature, bird warlock, flying, and whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, if that opponent has more life than another of your opponents, that attacking player draws a card and you put a 2+1/+1 counters on a creature you control. So, and it's a 1/3 legendary creature. So some decks may want to run this. I think this one is very big. You have to enjoy the play style of giving your opponents cards. The psychology of this card is if everyone has cards, they can stop each other as you're building up towards your win con. For me, though, how I play control how I play control is I want to have more cards than all of my opponents, and I do that by being an oppressive control player. So I'm running the delay, I'm running the mana drain. I want to counter. At the time was the dock sides and these powerful spells, and I wanted to make sure that my draw engine was established, my mana base was getting filled up, and I leveraged my politic and all this to have more cards than my opponents at all times and just picking my counter targets. If I'm giving my opponents cards, it doesn't really fit my play style. But I cannot say this is a bad card because I have got my tail whooped by this card in the past. We also have Gen Fusion says thoughts about Mirror Room. Going back to Scryfall, Mirror Room is an interesting one because I cannot think about that one. Let's see. Oh, Mirror Room. That's why, because this is the new card. I know I've seen this card before. So it says Mirror Room is an enchantment room, 2 in a blue. Whenever you unlock this door, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's a reflection in addition to its other creature types. It has Fractured Realms, 5 and 2 blue. It says Enchantment Room again. If a triggered ability of permanent you control triggers, the ability triggers an additional time. Okay. I know I'm saying I'm going to say it's too slow because it's 7 mana to do. It's basically not doing anything for 7 mana. And it's not doing nothing, but it's like I gotta pay 7 mana to cast this side of the room, and I have to pay 5 mana for Marneus, and I need to have a token generator, and my cheapest token generator is Lotho. So then we're looking at paying a total of 14 mana that we have to hope that our opponents don't remove any of the pieces within this combo to make it work. And every treasure that comes in from Lotho gives me 2 activations. So though I'm not going to say this is a bad card, I definitely think this one may be a little slower than what I'm looking for, even with the meta slowing down a tiny bit with the loss of Dockside, J-Lo, and Mana Grip. So it's an interesting card, but I'm not sure if this is the best fit for it. And we also have Steel Enchantment. Yep. For 3, it's a token trigger. With Kitten, it's an infinite loop. Interesting. Let's see. When you unlock this door, create a token that's a copy of target creature you can show, except it's a reflection addition of other creature types. Yeah, I'll even add this on. I respect where you're coming from that one. I like token engines per se. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this is the best thing to spend 3 mana to just make 1 token. Once again, we have to have Marneus on board prior to doing this. So to see, I'm basically saying I'm paying 8 mana to see 1 card. And that's only on the unlock of this door. You know what I'm saying? So once again, I think this card may have a place somewhere, but I don't think Marneus may be the best spot for this right now. But thank you for that recommendation. All right. So we've done a lot of great things with this list. We've talked about all the switch outs, but now you gotta ask me, like, T, how the hell do you win the game? Like you say this is gonna break the meta, you say it's gonna do all these great things. How the hell you gonna win the game? Don't worry, I got you. If you go to this beautiful thing called the primer up here, click the primer, hit on because I get a hit preview from me. But I break everything down for my current playtest cards. Also break down my switch outs that I'm currently working on and all that other good stuff. But we go past our mulligans. If you want to read this, please check it out. You can understand how I'm mulligan and what I'm what I say is a major draw engine versus a major stacks piece and all the other good stuff. But when it comes to win cons, though, you gotta check out infinite mana and draw engines first. Marneus is an infinite mana outlet. If you're not already aware, like I brought up before. If you put infinite mana into Marneus, you'll make infinite 2/2 Astartes warriors and you can draw your entire deck. Notably, you don't want to draw your entire deck to the point that you kill yourself. But it is something that you it's a little play thing where you just draw just enough in your deck to find a finisher and then draw either with Faustus or all that other stuff. We'll talk about that in a sec. But to make infinite mana, we can start off with the Bomberman combo. It's our new combo. It's Auriok Salvagers and Lion's Eye Diamond. Make infinite of all your colors. How this combo works is you cast Auriok Salvagers, and for colors in the white, you return target artifact card with converted mana cost 1 less from the graveyard to your hand, and then you have LED, which makes you discard your hand, but you can make 3 white. And then once you make infinite white by paying 2 of your 3 white to return LED to hand, you'll recast it and you just make infinite mana. Notably, this is not one you want to do through a fish or a Ristic Study because you will draw them into all the cards they need, and you can do it under those, but you want to make sure you have a silence effect active to be able to protect yourself doing this combo because you won't have any cards in your hand notably. Okay, next is Icecrown Interceptor Dramatic Reversal. This is really great. Just basically, when you have non-land permanents that are tapped for 3 or more mana, you can make infinite mana, infinite cast triggers, and infinite non-land untaps. And notably, if you add the One Ring into this combo, you can draw most of your deck, and it's really, really cool. Love this one. Next is, come on, Hullbreaker Horror. We knew it. We know it. We love it. Gets the job done. Come on. Basically, what you do is you have 2 0 or net positive rocks. So we can use, for example, not Mana Crypt, but Soul Ring, and we'll say Mana Vault. You can tap and float the mana and bounce them back and forth, and each time you cast the Soul Ring, you will bounce the Mana Vault back to your hand and switch off, make infinite colors. And you want to make sure you have a rock or some non-land permanent that you can tap immediately on it as it enters to make infinite colored mana, and then you can just pop, cast your Marneus, put the mana into your commander, and then you just draw your deck or how much ever you want. Notably, you can add the One Ring and or Forensic Gadgeteer to this loop to draw your entire deck, or most of your deck at least. You know what I'm saying? Next is Faerie Displacerkin. Another way to draw our deck, notably does not even need our commander. And if we use a 0 mana rock or net positive rock, what you will do is you just cast, you have Faerie Time Raveler on board and Displacerkin on board. You will cast that 0 or net positive rock. Displacerkin will trigger. It will target your Faerie Time Raveler, allowing it to flicker, and then you can use the -3 ability to return that artifact to your hand and draw a card. Rinse, wash, repeat, draw your entire library. Notably, we're not playing Angel's Grace in this list right now, so you can't make infinite mana as well. But once you draw your entire library, if you're looking to make infinite mana after you do everything you do, you can use any of these previous combos to get you there. Okay, maybe not Auriok Salvagers, maybe ISO Rev or Hullbreaker Horror, whatever not. Okay. Next, the Smother Nas combo. I brought it up earlier, but I love it so much. How this combo works is you have Marneus Calgar on board, a Smothering Tithe on board, and you cast Timetwister or Windfall, and you have to have 3 opponents still alive. What you will do is, once you do this, how the setup usually happens is you cast Smothering Tithe, untap again, cast Marneus, and then following that, you just cast the Will effect in your hand. So once you do that, you will create 21 treasures, and because of how Smothering Tithe is worded, whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2, and so each time they draw a card, all the triggers for Smothering Tithe will go onto the stack, and it will be 21 different triggers of Smothering Tithe, and between each of those, whenever that treasure gets created, Marneus Calgar will make you draw a card. So something really good. I love it. Have similar thing with Marneus Calgar, Smothering Tithe, and Faerie Mastermind. You can actually add in another card to make this an infinite combo, but basically what I see with this is that there are times where it's just another force draw effect, and under a silence effect, what you can do is, if you have Marneus Calgar on board, Smothering Tithe on board, Faerie Mastermind on board, and you have X mana open for Faerie Mastermind, you All you will do is each time you'll lose 1 open mana, your opponents each draw a card, and you will draw 4 cards. And if they can't pay for Smothering Tithe, notably, all right? And I broke down the math. It basically works is if you multiply 4 times 4 open mana minus 3, okay? So say if you have 4 open mana, you'll draw 4 cards, okay? If you have 5 open mana, you will draw 11 cards, because the second time you activate it, you'll draw 3 additional cards from Faerie Mastermind's intrinsic ability that says whenever opponent draws their second card, each turn you draw a card. If you have 10 open mana, you draw 31 cards. If you have 15 open mana, you draw 51 cards. And you'll say, T, how the fuck you gonna get 10 and 15 open mana? With Smothering Tithe, silly, come on. With Smothering Tithe out, you can just store up on treasures, and then you can do all this at instant speed. You can drop a silence, follow that up with a Faerie Mastermind, and just start going crazy. Whether it's, I'm gonna cast this silence, cast Faerie Mastermind, draw until I get a born, or however else I want to do it. It's really possible, and it's just another way to either have something that a combo that is not centric around any dead cards. You know, training grounds can be added to this to make it infinite, but I don't feel like, because I'm not leaning on the commander too much, I don't feel like I really need training grounds in order to make the deck viable. Not a bad card, just not really what the list needs. Next, I want to talk about the engine, the infinite mana and mass draw engines that I'm not currently running, which is mainly just Basalt Monolith, and Forensic Gadgeteer. Now, this one was not an easy exclusion. It was not, okay? I think this Forensic Gadgeteer is great with the commander, because it says whenever you cast an artifact spell, investigates. You make a token, and you do all this cool stuff, and as activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana in that cost to less than 1 mana. So you got like, oh my gosh, there's another training the ground effect. This synergy, you can even go with your Faerie Mastermind. Well, no, not Faerie Mastermind, but it's still cool synergy. You can do all this cool stuff. And Basalt Monolith, it's just a mana rock. You just lost mana Crypt. Come on, it's just another mana rock. Yes, all of that's great. The biggest problem that I have with this loop is that it only makes infinite colorless mana. So, and it has infinite non-land untaps for the something happened. I forgot. Whatever, like for some reasons, infinite non-land untaps. I did the math before. But the problem is, because it only makes infinite colorless mana, infinite non-land untaps from Basalt Monolith, okay? The problem is, because Forensic Gadgeteer only makes colorless mana, you either already need to have Marneus out, or you need to have Esper available to you after you make the infinite colorless mana to put Marneus in, to put into Marneus to draw your library. But the thing is, though, even say like no one is gonna leave your Marneus like untouched during the combo. But even more, I found during like my actual play testing that you like being able to have infinite colors through this combo, plus having the Esper available, is just not always realistic and not possible. And you'll find yourself having to pass turn, hoping to untap with this combo on board, and someone's going to find a way to disrupt it. So I do not think this is a bad combo. And if you're running more of a Marneus centric combo where you're looking to cast commander and do more token synergy, definitely add this in. But if you're looking more to play like TTC and say, hey, I just want to have good Esper cards and then infinite mana places to throw into my commander at the end of the game, then this is where you want to go. This is like, you may want to just exclude this one. So with all that said, we talked all day about this is how we made infinite mana, this is how we make it infinite, and we want to put into the commander draw library. How do we win now? Well, starting off, commander by itself is a win con. So we have Marneus Calgar on board, plus infinite mana. You can draw your library, and you can make infinite 2/2 white Astartes white creature tokens, but you have to remove Marneus Calgar in response to drawing your entire library to not deck yourself. And what I mean by that is, with Marneus on board, you can place 1 billion activations of Marneus Calgar on board, okay? And then when you have like 5 cards left in your library, you remove your commander, and then the rest of the triggers won't trigger your commander to make you draw. It will just put all the Astartes warriors on the board. Now, this is the first win con, but this is a backup win con, because the main thing about it is you are not, when you do this, this means they have summoning sickness, and you're not going to untap with them, okay? So just keep this in mind. This is just a built-in, we can end the game with just a commander. I've actually never done this before. I've always finished the game with all the other finishers that this list offers, but that is not to say, once again, this is not a bad finisher, but this is a last, like, I'm talking about like I cast a Demonic Consultation to stop somebody to exile my opponent's library, and then I just need to untap again, I have no other way to win the game. So this is where you want to go. Next finisher for the list, we're going to go through all the Orcish Bowmaster shenanigans with this list. All right, so first one is Orcish Bowmaster and Hand on board, infinite black mana, and infinite non-land permanent bounces, for example, with Hullbreaker Horror, and that just lets you do infinite Orcish Bowmaster ETBs to ping off the table. The next finisher for the list, once again, is with Orcish Bowmasters. You want to have infinite non-creature spell cast, and for example, with Hullbreaker Horror, and or for example, with something, some other, you can also do with ISO Rev, and you want to have a way to flicker your Orcish Bowmasters infinitely. So for example, say if your Hullbreaker Horror is gone and you can still have ISO Rev, you can finish off the table with using Displacer Kitten plus the Bowmasters plus the ISO Rev to do the same infinite pings, infinite non-creature damage, and infinite Orc Army. Okay. Next one is, this is kind of like, it's not really a finisher, but it's kind of like people's lives are low. You already had an Orc Army on board and you're just trying to clean up the last players. Literally just go, you have all these forced draw effects like Timetwister and Windfall. You just have Orcish Bowmaster on your board, cast the forced draw effect, and you can basically have your opponents do 21 Orcish Bowmaster triggers to wherever you want to go. You get a 21/21 Orc Army, and you can kill 1 to 3 opponents with the Orc Army triggers depending on what is left with your board. All right. Next up is Orcish Bowmasters on board, Smothering Tide, Faerie Mastermind board, and at least 17 mana open for Faerie Mastermind activations. This gives you 42 Orcish Bowmasters triggers to kill each opponent, and it's 126 Orc Army. This one is more of you. I love math. I want to do it like this. This is how I want to finish the table. Once again, this was just me having fun. I do note though, you will draw an extra 3 cards from Faerie Mastermind's triggered ability after the second activation, unless during you do this combo during your opponent's turn, where you will draw 1 extra card on the first activation and 2 extra on the second activation. And also, I would not recommend you do this finisher unless you have a silence effect active on the turn, because each Faerie Mastermind will draw your opponent's cards. Okay. Next one, Blind Obedience, baby. Come on. With Blind Obedience on board, you're able to do infinite extorts by having infinite white or black mana and infinite cast triggers. So this can either be with Hullbreaker Horror or Isochron Setuper with Dramatic Reversal. You'll gain infinite life, your opponents will lose an infinite life, and notably this is a great way to win with your to win the game through an opponent who has the 1 ring protection. Notably, it's great because if you lose your Thassus for whatever reason, here's another way to win. All right. Next, straight up, Thassus Oracle, draw your entire library, or Demonic Consultation, or 10 pack. Just win the game. Super simple. All right. Next is, last finisher is a convoluted finisher line that is really cool, but it's definitely something that I had to go in my bag for. And I actually found this in the EDH rec community, found it. Basically, if you have Isochron Scepter on board, plus Dramatic Reversal imprinted on Isochron Scepter, and then you have like Phyrexian Metamorph that's cloning the Isochron Scepter, okay? Plus Ice Swan Song imprinted on that clone of Isochron Scepter, plus non-land permanents that tap for at least 4 mana, you can make infinite 2/2 blue bird creature tokens with flying, plus infinite counter spells for all instant sorceries and enchantments. And so this is another one that, because they have summoning sickness, you have to wait 1 turn rotation to do, but it's just another option to finish off the table if all else has failed. And if you're interested in how this combo works, I go into a full breakdown right here. Please pause the video, boop, read that, okay? Now, we've already brought this up, but the only other finisher that I'm not choosing to run is Mnemonic Betrayal. It is not a bad card, like I said, but it's a card that I personally say, this is not really for me. This is not really for me, okay? I think it's a little bit slow, and I do think in the future I'm going to add it back because of how the meta may slow down. But for the immediate future, I'd rather run a Timetwister that gets me closer to a win with my Smothering Tithe, with my Marneus, than a Mnemonic Betrayal. Not bad card, just not for me, okay? Now that you know how the deck wins, though, I do want to get into very quickly the combo lines that I created for this list. And notably, if you're an Esper player, these combo lines are not just selected for Marnies. These are for any Esper-less who's running the Teferi Kitten combo or the Hullbreaker Horror combo, okay? How this combo works, and pre-warning, it's a lot of mana, so please run Smothering Tithe as well, okay? So How this combo works, we have a video example right here if you want to just watch the video. But how this combo line works is this combo line allows you to win in one explosive turn with a Wishclaw Talisman in hand, 13 treasure tokens or 8 colors, 2 black, 1 white, and 2 blue. And also you need to have a 0 mana rock in your deck and 1 non-creature spell in hand with the mana to cast this. This can be the 0 mana or net positive rock. All right, so what you do is you start off, you cast Wishclaw Talisman, okay? Excuse me. Oh my gosh. All right. Immediately activated for 1 color. So you're going to go find the Faerie Time Raveler. Cast the Faerie Time Raveler, and then you're going to -3 it to return the Wishclaw Talisman from your opponent's board to your hand. Then you're going to recast the Faerie Time Raveler, okay? And then you're going to immediately reactivate for 1 color to go get the Displacer Kitten to your hand. Then you're going to cast the Displacer Kitten, and you're going to cast a 0 or net positive rock or 1 non-creature spell to trigger Displacer Kitten, targeting to Faerie Time Raveler to reset the loyalty. Okay, activate the Faerie Time Raveler's -3 again, targeting the 0 mana or net positive rock, and you're just going to at this point floating the mana if you can to return it to your hand, and then you're going to repeat steps 8 and 9 to draw your entire deck and will win with one of the win cons listed in the outlets and finisher sections above. Okay. Super easy. Like I said, it takes 13 mana to get this done, but with cards like Smothering Tithe or Lotho, it's really easy just to build up that mana, knowing that you have this Wishclaw Talisman in hand and you want to set up for this combo. Notably, there are a lot of conditions that I just try to keep in mind, like tutor, like if there's any anti-tutor effects, stacks pieces, or remove things that like can hurt artifacts, lead to hurt tutors. This is just a no-go. And this can be done cheaper if by on the winning turn by casting Wishclaw Talisman on the turn prior to your turn. So you can cast Wishclaw Talisman with this combo in mind, and then pass turn to yourself later on to get it done like that. All right. And lastly, this line's viability comes from the fact that the first spell you cast after tutoring is a silence type effect with Teferi Time Raveler, in addition to it being part of the combo. So make sure you're able to protect Teferi on the stacked, and or be able to recover it if it or another combo piece removed with the channel ability card, not limited to the not including Boseiju, Endures, Otawara, Touch the Spirit Man, Twin Shot Sniper. So just be ready for that. This combo is great because it's Teferi, but you got to be able to pivot and get back into the game if something happens. All right. Next, same thing, but this time we're going to do it with Hullbreaker Horror. And I love this because this combo line allows you to win in one explosive turn with Wishclaw Talisman and 16 treasures. Once again, that's a lot of mana. I know, but the meta is getting slower now, and we don't have Dockside. So the cool thing about this one is that because we can sit back on our Smothering Tithe and never have to crack our treasures, I just feel like these combo lines are going to get even better in Esper plus colors. And so how it works is we need to have cast Wishclaw Talisman, same thing. You're going to immediately activate it for 1 color, tutoring Hullbreaker Horror to your hand. And you're going to cast Hullbreaker Horror for 5 and 2 blue. You're going to cast 1 extra spell in hand, trigger Hullbreaker Horror, targeting its ability towards your Wishclaw Talisman to return to hand. Immediately cast Wishclaw Talisman, immediately activate it, turning the mana rock that can net such generate mana to hand. This could be Grim Monolith, Mana Vault, Mox Opal, Soul Ring, etc. And then you're going to cast the tutor mana rock, triggering Hullbreaker Horror again to target the ability on your own Wishclaw Talisman again to return it to your hand. Then you're going to repeat step 5 to 7 to go get another mana rock, and then this time you're going to start flipping them like we talked about earlier, like Mox Opal and a Soul Ring, to make infinite mana of all your colors, dump it into your commander, and then win the game. Same things as before I brought up. This can be cheaper if you cast your you cast your Wishclaw Talisman on the turn before, and it's all great things. I will also say that if you have infinite colors mana, you can repeat steps 5 to 7 again, finding and casting a mana rock that taps for Esper and or one of the other talismans to pay life if you need infinite Esper or just enough Esper to put into casting Marneus. Notably, same stacks pieces hurt us, but remember that the viability of this combo is based off the fact that we have Hullbreaker Horror on the board. And the more instant speed spells you have in your hand to protect yourself during this combo line, it will allow you to present it and win through whatever your opponents put on the board. But you do want to keep in mind that spells like Boseiju, or channel abilities like Boseiju, Otawara, Touch the Spirit Realm, and Twin Shot Sniper are really things that can fully disrupt and cuck this plan. Not really much Twin Shot Sniper, but whatever the fuck may happen, just keep that in mind, that these can really disrupt the game plan. And also these stacks pieces that really hurt us along that line, like Deafening Silence, Stress Down, Opposition Agent, and things along that line. But with Hullbreaker Horror, we can actually bounce those depending on how many instant speed or flash spells we have to bounce all those things. But with that being said, that's how the deck works. That's how we do what we do. This deck is super lethal. That is exactly what I've been trying to tell y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all, this deck is busted. It's fucking busted. And now that the list is, now that we are actually, the problem that we had before where the list was, the weakness was like, oh, we're usually trying to win on turn 4 to 6, maybe turn 3 if we go for Smother Knives. Now you're sitting there like, oh shit, I don't care that I'm trying to win between turn 3 and 5 because I don't got to worry about Dockside. I got to worry about Mana Crypt. I don't got to worry about J-Lo for this season. So let's go ahead and just try this list out. So the last things I want to do before I let y'all go is I want to take some time very quickly to just remind you all that if you check this link right here that I put up here on the YouTube video, I'm going to tag my previous list, my previous deck tech video where I break down all the other categories that are really fun in this list. Everything from the tutors sections, the card draw, the removal, interaction, stacks, and all those other things. I'm gonna be honest, we go through all that before. And also, if you're interested, please click enable tags. I tag all of those sections from my token generators, the few that they're in the list, and all the other notable cards that are here. So please take the time, check out the list, link in the bio, all the great things with that. But with that being said, I want to just take some time, and before we go to Playtest Hands, I just want to talk about notable categories for this specific deck, and mostly just looking at that sideboard on any cards that I'm thinking about that may be viable or may want to bring back in. We've already talked about Copy Artifact as a card that I'm thinking about possibly putting back in, but Co-Signed in Memory is an interesting thing since people are talking about like a bit of a control meta. I think this is an interesting card from Modern Horizons 3 that says Replicate 1. You can counter target triggered ability or colorless spell. This is one where I'm like, I don't really care about the colorless spell too much, though that can hit a one ring. I'm thinking that you can use this as a way to, hey, I'm trying to play control. I'm really trying to stop my opponents from using their triggered abilities or whatever it may be, stopping a one ring activation or whatever the fuck may happen. It's something interesting. I'm currently running Trick Bind, so if I'm not feeling Trick Bind, I do like that this is a 1 mana option that can be doubled down to get that pseudo. You have to have multiple counter spells to stop this ability. Another card that I'm currently thinking about that may be worth the inclusion is Grand Arbiter Argentine IV. It is both a ramp ability for our deck and also is a stacks piece. The tough thing is though, it is 4 mana, and without Mana Crypt now, I'm not sure if I want to put it in the list anymore because it's going to be harder to get it out on turn 2. Not to mention, it doesn't draw us cards. So then the list is trying to get a draw engine down early on. And this is really just trying to slow the people down and ramp me up. And I'm not sure if I want to put 4 mana into ramping out. Maybe more if I go into a later strategy that I'll talk about. Notably, there are other Marnie's pilots who are running the Tivit Seller of Secrets and Tive Seed combo in their list. And I've actually played against a Marnie's list that runs this. Do not sleep on this combo. It's actually disgusting how well this combo wins, like out of nowhere. Granted, the player was running clones for Dockside. They were also running Mana Crypt and other things to help support like getting this 6 mana creature out because it's not in your command zone. But it's a very viable piece where it's like, all right, Tivit gives you token generations on ETB, and when it deals combat damage, and the Time Seed is just an extra turn effect that if you need another turn after making infinite treasures and infinite Astartes Warriors with Marneus, it's just another option. So still thinking about this one, but losing Mana Crypt kind of makes me like, I don't know if I want to dedicate 2 slots to a 6 mana creature. So I've already talked to y'all about Subtlety. Praetor's Grasp is one that I'm thinking about. Currently, our only finishers outside of like infinite beats with Marneus is Blind Obedience, Orcish Bowmasters, and Thassa's. And I just want to say that though this is Those are cool. I like having a backup plan, so I'm thinking really hard on Praetor's Grasp as a way just to have one more way to win on the turn that I'm pushing for it. But as of thus far, I haven't really needed it. Two more. Mask of the Mimic. Someone put me onto this. This is a really fun spell. Sacrifice a creature, search your library for any copy of target creature card, and put that into play. Shuffle your library afterwards. The cool thing about this one is this is crazy tech. What you can do is, if you have a creature on your board, you can cast this, sack your creature as an additional cost, and copy a target creature your opponent controls. This was great when we had Dockside, but it's still busted with Thassa's Oracle. So what you can do is pay 1 blue, sack a creature on your board, copy their Thassa's Oracle with their ETB on the stack, and then you can grab your own Thassa's Oracle. It enters the battlefield, and as long as you have Tainted Pact or Demonic Consultation in hand, you can steal the win over the win. So it's a cool tech. I haven't ran it, like I've never ran it yet, but someone put it on to me, and because we have such a homogeneous like kind of format, it was something that was really like, this may be worth testing. And now, especially since Thassa's Oracle stocks are going up, it really may be something worth testing. Last one I want to talk about though, well, last two, is thinking slightly about Luris, because we are on Displacerkin and LED. It is more graveyard recursion, and so the combo it would be able to do is Luris plus Displacerkin plus either LED or Lotus Petal to make infinite mana. That's cool, but it takes a 7 mana to set the combo up, 6 if you have Lotus Petal. So it's just a lot, 3 cards, a lot of mana, and I don't think I really need it. It's graveyard recursion, but don't really think I need it. And the last one is Into the Flood Maw. 1 mana removal. It's cool. It gets the job done, but I do want to keep my 2 board wipes in with the meta getting a little slower. I'm going to keep with my 2 board wipes and hold off on trying to take this one out for Cyclonic Rift for now. But outside that, those are the main cards I want to talk about, but I want to get straight into the playtest hands, because we know how the deck wins, we know how it does everything, but we gotta see how does the deck actually play. All right, for this one I'm going to roll a d8 notably. Let's see, and 1 2 is 1 2 3 4 is 2 and all that other good stuff. So I got an 8, so I'm going 4th. Let's say this pod, this is gonna be tough with the new meta. TNK is going 1st, Roxai is going 2nd, and going 3rd is Urza. So I'm putting myself in quite a predicament. So I want to be like, the hand I'm looking for is turn 1 draw engine, turn 2 let's just start gaining mana, doing our thing, and just holding up interaction pieces to stop any win attempts. Granted, notably we really want to get a turn 1 draw engine because Roxai is seat 2. All right, let's see. First hand is a keep, I think. So this is interesting. What I see is, this is very, very interesting. So what I'm seeing from this, Hollow Fountain, Mystic Remora. What I'm thinking is, drop this fish turn 4, untap, draw cards, but then I have to hope not to lose to Roxai on turn 2. Even without Crypt and all that, it's something I'm really thinking about hard. However, because I have blue spells that I can pitch to a Force of Will, Force of Negation, part of me is like, I'm going forth, I need to make my opponents have it. Now, notably, I do tell pilots, be careful about taking that 1 land, 1 fish hand. It's very, very risky. But with the Mana Vault in my hand, in the worst universe, if I don't draw a land off Roxai being greedy or people just developing their board and doing their thing, in the worst universe, I can always say, all right, turn 1 fish, let's try to keep it on for 1 more turn. If everyone goes fish packed, whatever, not, I don't care. I can still drop the Mana Vault and try to work towards something. And granted, notably, the biggest thing is I have a goal I'm working towards. I have a tutor to get the other piece. I just need mana at this point. And I have 2 pieces of interaction to work on 2 different axes, a Swords to Plowshare and an Offer You Can't Refuse to help me get there. So I'm going to rock this one out. This is just a first 7. I could go lower, but I like seeing the fish because for me, the only thing that will make this hand feel better is a 2nd land drop to guarantee that I can hold up the Swords to Plowshare or the Mystic Remora. So let's see what we get for the first draw. Ranger Captain, a little sad. So at this point, all I'm seeing is go land, fish, and then just really hope we get a second land drop. I can pay for the fish one time, but depending on how Rock develops on his turn 2 will tell me if I want to go swords and offer. Let's roll a d4 to see how many draws, 1 to 4 draws we get for this. It's a 3, so then let's just see what those 3 fish draws are. We hit 2 lands. This feels good. At this point, what I see is pay for fish one more time, play the land, and play the Mox Opal. No Dockside to worry about in this meta. And I'm going to hold off on casting the Mana Vault because I want to hold open the swords and the offer I can't refuse. And I'm going to wait to actually crack my fetch because I do want to start developing some black mana to help cast the Tainted Pact for this muddle and make sure Thassa's Oracle combo we're going for. So, and that draw for that second turn would be another land. So there we go. We're good. Nice first 7 keep. Nice simple. But let's do another we'll do a second 7 hand we're keeping. And this one we're going 3rd. We will say player 1 is Kennen. Player 2 is Blue Farm, because people are going to play Blue Farm. We're player 3. And then player 4, oh my gosh. We'll let player 4 be, we just talked about it earlier. Player 4 can be the, what is that Jeskai list that still wins with everything? Elsha the Infinite. You know what I'm saying? Elsha the Infinite will get us there. So we'll say that's the pod. It'll be Kennen, Blue Farm, us on Marneus, and then Elsha the Infinite. We'll deal another hand. Okay. This is an interesting hand, okay? I'll tell you why it's an interesting hand. So our rule, my rule with Archivist of Ogma is if I can get it down turn 1, I'll keep it. I am going seat 3 though. So what I think I will want to do with this hand specifically is, and I would keep it. I know y'all are saying like, T, like go deeper, mulligan deeper, but we're getting the hits we need, y'all. I don't know what to tell you. I see a Lotus Petal. I see a Windswept Heath. Hold open Archivist of Ogma, get a base minimum of 1 draw off of it. And if they want to play smart or play like, hey, we're not going to play any more fetch lands, that's on them. It is what it is. What I want to do is turn 2 on it, lay down this Blind Obedience. This will hurt the Elsha in the pod because they won't be able to do their Sensei's Top. Any development that they want to do on starting on turn 3 moving forward is going to be slowed because we don't have the Mana Crypt. So unless they mold hard for that Soul Ring or Mana Vault to push out their Mana Rocks, it'll slow that down as well. It will slow down any Timna attacking plans or anything along that line, as well as all of Urza's artifacts that enter the battlefield tapped because starting on their turn 3 because of the Blind Obedience. So my thought is we have, like, this is really great because we have turn 1 draw engine, we have Displacerkin and a Beseech the Mirror. So all we're looking for is a Dark Ridge or something along that line to help push that out. We're also of course looking to draw a 0 or net positive rock. So all I see is turn 1 Archivist, turn 2 Blind Obedience, turn at some point between turn 3 and 5, hoping to get enough mana to push out the Beseech the Mirror for its a Fairy Time Raveler, and then we have the Displacerkin already there, and we need the 0 net positive rock. So yeah, and if we want to, because we'll be able to draw list, we also can actually sack the Blind Obedience to the Beseech and then still win with either Thassa's Oracle and or Orcish Bowmasters. So I don't mind losing Blind Obedience. But with that said, these I'll be honest, don't you love when they come out this easy? Just nice, clean, and simple. Nice, clean, and simple. It's really, really good. And I just love this. And so I just want to say thank you all so much for being amazing. Honestly, we're about to get into this gameplay section where we're going to see, just have a feel, let's play out this new meta and just kind of get a feeling for it. Like I said, I'm never going to knock nothing I try unless I try it one time. This is going to be my goal. Like no Dockside, no Crypt, no J-Lo, and I'm playing the perfect list to experience this new meta. But I do want to say before I let you all go, because y'all have been so amazing, and we're going to take a small break. If you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Everything from our ThunderConductor Proxy, the softest, smoothest merch on the side of the internet, to also our ThunderConductor Proxies. I just want to give you all a big shout out, like, for just being awesome and support the channel in so many ways. And this is my way to give back to the community. We also have the ThunderConductor Community. It is free to join. But if you want extra perks like first priority to get onto our gameplays, free proxies, promo codes, and all these amazing things, please check out the Thunder Legion. It is the #1 way to support the channel and to keep amazing content coming out just like this. And last but not least, if you say, AT, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, or the merch, I just want to say one time with a fun time, I love what you do and I want to support you. don't worry. Check the link out the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, let's get straight into this Marneus gameplay. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.